Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's DIY video, I'm going to show you how I made this soft, fluffy, delicious and tasty bread. This type of bread is popularly called agege bread in Nigeria. I tell you for free, since I started making this bread at home, I have not bought bread from the store. So I'm going to show you how I made this, and if this sounds like something you're interested in, please keep watching. So these are the ingredients we're going to need. We need some butter, we need an egg, we need some sugar and some yeast, fast action yeast. We need some evaporated milk, or you can use regular milk. We need some bread flour, and I'll leave all the measurements in the description box. So I started off by adding 1 cup of warm water into my bowl and 1 cup of warm milk. If you are using the regular watery milk, you can just go ahead and use 2 cups of milk instead of mixing it with water. And then I went in with 1 whole egg. You can see the confidence I used to break that egg. It's because I trust the egg. But please, if you don't trust your egg, if you are not sure if the egg is still good, please break it separately before putting it in your mix, okay, to avoid stories that touch. And then I added 3 tablespoons of sugar and my yeast. Honestly, I used 1.5 sachet of yeast. And then you go ahead and mix. You can use your whisk. Honestly, I don't know how I still don't have a whisk in my house. That's why I'm using a fork. But if you have a whisk, you can use that. So after whisking, I covered it and let it sit for about 6 minutes or so, just for the yeast to be activated. So it will look something like this, you know, a little bit like it's foaming. So that's when you know that the yeast is active. 1 teaspoon of salt, and then I went in with my flour. Honestly, in total I used about 600 grams of flour, but as you would see, you just keep adding flour until you get your desired consistency. So I went ahead to mix everything with my hands. I have a stand mixer, but I just decided to use my hands because I find it easier. So mix. After mixing for a while, I realized it wasn't giving what it was supposed to give. So I had to add in a little bit more flour just to make it come together more. So you can always control your dough. If you feel it's too sticky and it needs a little more flour, you can always add a little more flour. But be careful not to add too much so that it doesn't become too hard. So I went in with 100 grams of butter, and then I went ahead to press that in as well. Honestly guys, when you're done with this bread, you'll thank me later. I always thought my husband was not a bread person, because most times when I buy bread, it stays in my house 1 week and then eventually begins to grow mold. When I started making bread on my own, I think I tried it the first time, and then that bread finished the same day. The same person I thought does not eat bread was the one that finished the bread. Anyway, that's just by the way. So I left my dough to rise for 1 hour until it had doubled in size. So I went ahead to knead it for some time. And yeah, another reason I prefer to make my bread myself is because if you look through the ingredients of some of this store-bought bread, you realize that there are some preservatives in them. That's why they can stay for several days on the shelf. And so if you would rather just not consume all those things, it's easier to just use 7 ingredients to make your own bread at home, and it's even cheaper as well. So at this point, you can start cutting up your dough into smaller bits for the rolls, for the bread rolls. And you can use a measuring scale if you want them to be absolutely equal, but if you don't mind, you can just eyeball it like the way I was doing. So you put some flour on your work surface, and then you put the dough on it and roll it out with a rolling pin. Be careful to add enough flour, if not you would have some sticky situations going on. So this is my oiled pan. Actually, that's a cake pan though, but I've just used it like that. So I wrapped up the dough as you saw me do, and then I placed it in the pan. And then I repeated the same process for the next one. As you can see, flatten it out, fold it up, mold it a bit, and then put it in the well-oiled pan. Now, in case you don't have a surface to work with, or you don't have a rolling pin, I'll show you how to do it. Just stretch the dough a bit between your hands, stretch it for some time, and then just fold it on its own directly. I find this even a lot easier than rolling it out, and it's still the same effect. So just wrap it up, mold it a bit, and then you put it in your pan. So we're done with the bread rolls. Now we'll move over to the loaf, to the actual loaf of bread. This time around, because of the size of the dough, you have to use your board or your work surface to flatten it out as much as possible. Remember to put some flour on your surface and on the dough, just so the dough is not sticking to your pin or sticking to your work surface. And then you start to roll the dough. As you can see, I was having a bit of a sticky situation there, but I was able to manage it. So you roll the dough such that it will be long like that, and then you get your oiled bread pan, and then you place the dough nicely into the bread pan, and then we leave it to rise for 45 minutes before we put it into the oven. So this is what the dough looks like after 45 minutes to 1 hour. We're ready to put it into the oven, into a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius, and we'll allow it to bake for 25 minutes. So after 25 minutes, this is what it looks like. Our bread is ready. So while it's still hot, I decided to spread some butter on it just to soften the crust and also to give it that shiny appearance. Life lessons come 1 in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Just nego do this beauty. Just look at that. I had to beg my husband to wait so that I can finish this video before he tears the bread into pieces. So as you know, bread is very versatile. You can have it with tea for breakfast, bread and tea. You can have it with beans. You can have it with akara, and for the hoodlums, you can have it with noodles as well. Even my baby girl was not left out. She kept disturbing me until I had to give her some of the bread. So thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know if you try out this recipe. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.